Hello guys and welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time, you're welcome. On this channel we'll talk about everything African, but if this is not your first time, then you're welcome back. Today I want us to talk about something that I consider very important. A lot of things that have been going on in society or have been going on in Africa, let me say this side of Africa, and I know that it is not relegated to this side of Africa because, well, the internet. And that is why today I want us to explore the dark truth behind African spirituality. African spirituality and traditional worship sometimes looks good on the outside, but what if I told you that behind those interesting drums, behind the rhythm of the drums and the scent of incense lies something much darker, something that most people fail to question, something that most people are scared to question. And get this, this is not a call to question African spirituality. It's a call to get us thinking. It's not a call for you to say, okay, I'm following African tradition or African spirituality or not, or I believe in African spirituality or I don't believe in African spirituality. It's just for us to reason together and kind of open our eyes. Let us really look deeper and see what is actually going on in this thing that we have called African spirituality, traditional worship, and all that. So it's a call to ask what is actually going on behind the mask of African spirituality. As a non-traditionalist, I've always been curious about what they call traditional worship, what lies behind it, what has made it last even after several generations. Why does it persist after several years? And what is actually going on behind the sacrifices and the rituals? Not to adopt or to celebrate traditional religion, but to understand, because I just want to know. I'm an African and I celebrate African tradition. I celebrate Africanism. So I've been trying to understand what is actually going on behind the sacrifices, the rituals, the readings, the dancing, the celebrations. Get me, these things can be very interesting to watch. When you see the festivals, hey, they're always very colorful, they're always very beautiful, but behind those things, what goes on behind closed doors? African spirituality, obviously, is not a one-size-fits-all. From the Vodun practices of Benin, the Ifa worship of the Yoruba people, to the ancestral rites of the Zulu, this spiritual system stretches across tribes, centuries, and different languages. But one thing is clear, in the yesteryears, in many centuries ago, this worship was actually about appeasing spirits, celebrating the ancestors, and maintaining spiritual balance. Because of course that time there was no Christianity, there wasn't Islam, the religions that we have now weren't there, and even when they were there, people were just beginning to adopt it. They were still, trying to see, will this thing work for me, will this thing not work for me? Okay, let me just still hold my traditional worship while assessing whether this Christianity, this Islam, these other things work for me. So, but has that changed? Has African spirituality and traditional worship actually become a cover for wickedness? Has it become a cover for revenge? Has it become a cover for evil rituals and things that the eyes may see, but the lips cannot speak? In fact, some of the things itself, the eyes cannot see and the lips cannot speak about it. Now, I know. I'm not trying to throw the cover over all African spiritualities. It's true that there are different forms or expressions of African spirituality depending on the origin. For example, the Yorubas from Nigeria who worship or worshipped the Orisha gods. There are some who practiced divination with cowrie shells and spirit possession. There are also those who practice, not Yorubas now, but there are also those who sacrifice to Legba or Mami water in Vodun, in Benin and Togo. There are so many means of traditional worship and African spirituality, from ancestral worship, dreams being seen as a means to receive messages from the ancestors in Zulu, to ritual healings using elements like water, fire and earth in Dagara, Burkina Faso. There are many sides, like I said, to African spirituality, and because of that, it has become increasingly difficult to assess if it has been hijacked for evil, if some people have begun to use African spirituality and traditional worship as a cover-up to perpetuate evil and do wicked things. Many traditional worship has to do with animal sacrifices, blood rituals, and sometimes even human initiations, all done to appease the deities or the spirits that they worship. But what's more concerning is how fear is often used as a weapon. So if you disobey a taboo, you could be cursed. If you speak against a shrine or a deity, you may mysteriously fall ill. Sometimes you hear different stories about how people are told that refusal to carry out one ritual or to carry out one sacrifice during a special ceremony, say unfortunately a loved one dies, their spouse dies, or their parents die, or they're getting married, or something happens and they have to perform, or there has to be an event, there has to be a ceremony. You hear that some people are told that if they refuse to carry out the rituals tied to that ceremony or tied to that event, some certain thing will happen to them. That it could lead to one misfortune or the other. And get this, sometimes those people don't even know anything about those traditions. Some people, have lived their lives all the while in another state, like in Nigeria now. Some people are from Kogi State, for instance, and they stay in Abuja. Some people are from Ibadan, they stay in Abuja. Some are from Lagos, they stay in the east. Some are from the west, they stay in the south. Different places, and it's not even a Nigerian thing. There's some people that are from Ghana that have traveled outside the country. There's some people that are from Nigeria that have relocated outside the country. Now, especially for those who are first generation immigrants, you'll hear some stories about how when a parent outside the country, outside the shores of the African country dies, they'll be told that by their uncles and their aunties and the elders of their village that they must return the bodies of their loved ones back to the African country or something dangerous will happen. Now, I want to ask a question. And my question is, does this truly happen? Or is this just a means to keep people bound and completely pliable? To keep people to keep servicing these things? Because sometimes when these things happen, there are things that need to be bought. You need to buy yam, you need to buy palm oil. They give you a long list of things that need to be bought. Heck, I just heard not so long ago, I heard about a woman who is from the same place as her husband, but she lost her husband and she's mourning. She's mourning. She's a young widow who is mourning. But if you see the long list of things that they gave her to buy, somebody that doesn't even know where her life is going to, as in how she's going to take care of her children, where her life is starting from, you now give her a long list of things to buy. That if she doesn't buy those things and she doesn't do those things that are required of her, that something mysterious will happen to her, something mysterious will happen to her children. My question is that, do these things actually happen, or is it just a way for people to get more things to eat? Is it just a way for people to get more things to satisfy themselves, more money in their accounts? I want to know your thoughts in the comment section, because we can all agree that initiation into African spiritual systems isn't like a baptism. It is often secret, intense, and in most cases terrifying. Did I say terrifying? I don't know what else to use. If you have a better word for terrifying, put it in the comment section. Horrendous comes to mind, but I don't even know if horrendous is the right word to use. You hear of boys taken into the forest for weeks, women blindfolded and married to spirits, and sometimes they even have to swear oaths never to reveal what happens, even though somebody holds a knife to their neck. Like, even under the threat of death, they are told that you must not say what, you must not mention what happened here today. And I understand, I'm not totally ignorant that the need to know more about the gods that we worship, like I'm a Christian, right? And the need to know about God, keeps you seeking, keeps you reading, keeps you learning, keeps you praying, keeps you, as a Christian, fasting, doing things that some religious activities, practices, and things that you believe that will bring you closer to the God that you worship. It's the same thing for other religions, and it's the same thing I believe in traditional worship. So I understand that a worshiper trying to seek no more and serve their God better keeps them seeking, keeps them looking, keeps them opening doors that sometimes are not meant to be opened. Because sometimes some of these initiations in African spirituality, are scary. Me, I feel they are scary, sha. Like the oral cults in Nigeria, where women are forbidden from witnessing some ceremonies. Because if you see what is being done, something will happen to you. What if you something maybe there's an emergency and you have to run outside for help? Maybe while you're hidden, your windows are closed, the doors are locked, somebody you're staying with starts convulsing, or there's a need for a healer or something, and you need to run out and get help. What now happens? The thought of that feels it's scary. Or the Sunday society in Sierra Leone, where female initiation involves seclusion, skin removal, and even female genital mutilation. Or do we even want to talk about somewhere in Congo where elite priesthood involves skin removal ceremonies and oaths of secrecy? And I can't buttress this enough. I'm going to say it again and again. I'm not judging because I don't understand it. But this is me trying to understand. This is me trying to reason with you and to ask you if you know better. Let's have that conversation in the comments. If you know better, let me know. Because these things, I don't know how to put it. Like there's a way we say things sometimes in Nigeria. Like they wonder me. This thing they wonder me. Growing up as a non-traditionalist, I was taught to have faith in God, to take my worries to Him, and to trust in Him alone. And I understand that there are still many Africans who are Christians, who are Muslims, but combine other religions, combine Christianity with traditional worship, combines Islam with traditional worship, the traditional beliefs, going to the church one day and the shrine the next, or going to the mosque one day and to one crossroad the next. What do you think about this? What do you think about people that combines the two? Is this spiritual confusion or cultural identity? As an African, do you still feel the intense need to still practice traditional worship and remain linked to the gods of your fathers, the gods of your fathers' fathers, or even the gods of your ancestors that you may never have heard of? Why do you think that despite all these things that we've been saying, despite the things that we've heard, I mean, just a few weeks ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, in Nigeria, somewhere in Enugu State, is it in Enugu? I think it's in Enugu. Somewhere in Enugu State, they found a man, a traditional priest, like they call him Babalawo. I don't know if I was calling him a Babalawo, he's like a Dibia, yeah. Like they found a Dibia who had buried in his house a pregnant woman, a young man, and a young girl who they had kidnapped. Luckily for her, while she was with her father, they had kidnapped her and thrown her into an uncompleted building, a pit in an uncompleted building. Luckily for her, some people, some young men saw when they were carrying her in there, and when they got there, they saw her there, and one thing led to another. They started digging, some of the places, and then they started seeing dead bodies. So, despite all these things that have happened, despite all these things that are happening, why do you think that traditional worship is still alive till today? I think for some, it's cultural pride, while for some others, it's survival. In societies where healthcare or justice fails, people turn to what they know, their ancestors. Like the issue of the Zanzibar elderly women who are tormented, abused, hurt, and killed when something wrong goes on in the society, something unexplainable, something out of the normal goes on in the society. They'll just be like, who is that elderly woman around us that has a red eye? Who is the elderly woman around us that is very old? But even that alone shows that things like this can be hijacked and turned into wickedness by evil and unscrupulous people. Because some of these Zanzibar women are even scared of growing old. They are scared because they've seen the precedents. They've seen that when a woman gets to a certain age and then her body begins to change, her back becomes bent, her eyes become red from using the firewood fire, and she can't walk as fast, and maybe her speaking is not as it used to be, and all that. People just look at it like this woman is a witch. This woman has to be a witch. And so when something goes wrong, rain has not fallen, or the cloud is dark and rain still doesn't fall, or an animal is giving birth and the baby dies, or the mother dies, or a woman is giving birth and the mother or baby dies, or something just happens in the society, they just be like, there's an elderly woman around us that must be a witch. And even sometimes, some people have even hijacked that system and used it as a means of taking people's inheritance. Like when some people, when their parents leave inheritance for them, elderly women, when their husbands die and leave inheritance for them, people, find a way to accuse them of one thing or the other, burn them to death, and then take over their lands, take over their houses. Even children do it to their mothers, and even mothers do it to their sister, to their daughters. So that's to tell you that this thing goes really deep. It goes really deep. And in fact, that's another story. That's a story for another day. I've already done a video on that. If you want to know more about this, or you haven't heard about the Zanzibar witch hunt, then you should watch this video because it's absolutely unbelievable. And it's one of the proofs that African spirituality may not be what it used to be. And like I said before, I'm not here to encourage it nor discourage it, because I mean, there's some people that may be practicing it and may not be killing anybody. Let me say may. Then they may not be killing anybody. So I'm not here to encourage it or discourage it, because to each his own. But I'm here to ask, what role does African spirituality play in shaping identity, fear, and spirituality in Africa today? Let's talk in the comments. I really want to hear your thoughts, because I don't want it to be just me talking. I want to hear your own point of view. Do you believe that African spirituality is just a way for people to get connected or to remain connected to their loved ones who have died? Or is there something more at work here? Do you believe that African spirituality has been hijacked by wicked and unreasonable people, sometimes even harvesting organs and body parts for one ritual or the other? Let's talk in the comments. I'd like to hear your thoughts. I really would, because like I said, while these things can be beautiful, these festivals, they can be beautiful. Like sometimes they even air them on the television. When you watch them, they're usually very colorful. They're usually really beautiful. But when you hear some things that are done behind closed doors, some things that are done behind the veil, I ask myself that, is this actually African tradition? Is this actually African spirituality? Or is something sinister going on here? I mean, some of these people, like the man I mentioned before, the DB I mentioned before, he was going to kill that young girl, and he had killed so many people. The woman that was they found buried was pregnant. So he not only killed the mother, he killed the unborn child just in the name of performing rituals. And that was, people say that was not the first time. They were even trying to check out some other of his buildings to see if he had buried other people there. So sometimes when you hear these things, are we going to talk about the Ibadan Soka forest? There are so many examples, but please, I want to hear from you. What do you think about African spirituality? What do you think about traditional worship? What do you think about what it's doing to our society as Africans? I think it's time that we start assessing these things, and it's time for this conversation to be had. It's time for us to ask ourselves these questions and actually think about whether or not our culture, our tradition, our worship has been hijacked by evil people. And if you're a traditional worshiper, do you think that these things that are being done is part of the rituals? Is it something that is actually allowed? Or are people just doing what they like and hiding themselves under the umbrella of is a ritual, is what is required, is what the gods require and all that? Just let me know. Educate us. Educate us. But anyway, this is the end of the video. If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing. Please like, share, and of course, leave your thoughts in the comment section. But until next time, please remember to remain your most authentic self, because guess what? That's the only thing that hasn't been taken. Every other personality has been taken except yours. Every other dream has been taken except yours. So live your life for yourself, okay? And I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.